Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Four, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog.
Yo, it's another night.
Hold my pocket.
It'll never get old.
No, we're gonna milk that bit forever.
I mean, it's gonna just work its way into it. Like any Step Brothers quote we use, any Ricky Bobby quote we use, it's just gonna be a thing that's gonna last for 4 or 5 years, guys.
That's right. And if you don't laugh at that, well then fuck you.
Yeah. I've watched all of Tom Segura's stand up now. I can't stop. It's just addictive.
Oh, he's good. He's really good.
You read his Mike Tyson one? Oh my
God. Yeah, it was already suggesting Tom Sequoia video on The Long War, like that podcast in the morning.
I know this sounds like an exact duplicate of the intro we did last week, because it is.
Because it is. We're just rehashing things at this time, but you're actually listening to a different podcast.
This is actually a different podcast because we did exactly the same thing.
This is 137. That one you guys are thinking of, that's 136. This is completely different.
So I feel like there's some nerd stuff that happened.
There is.
That we kind of need to talk about. First of all, there's 2 types of countries in the world, and I know this is going to piss people off, but I have to say this. Countries that use the metric system and countries with cars in space. Because
I literally almost brought that up. I was like, Haspil, when are we going to get our car in space?
I know, right? Because Elon Musk, and I have to say, that is like a guy thing to do. I feel that if like Elon Musk was a woman, she wouldn't have done that. But a guy is like, well, we can launch a car in space. And I feel like no other guy in that room asked why. Like if there was one female engineer in the room, she'd have been like, why do you want to do that? But every guy was just probably like, yeah, that sounds legit. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy one. You know, they actually based, I guess, Robert Downey Jr. interviewed him, and he's the loose character that he plays, Tony Stark.
Well, isn't he in Iron Man 2? Isn't he doesn't he run into him at the Grand Prix race? He runs into Elon Musk, I think, because he tells him he's designing a new chair or something. I think that was him.
Oh,
I'm not sure. But he is like the real world Tony Stark. That's who he is. Yeah. Like, it would not surprise me if there was an Iron Man armor and Elon Musk was in it. I mean, the guy is made a company called the Boring Company that sells flamethrowers, for $600.
Yeah, I am so close. I want you to know that. I've watched that video or videos of it 1 million times. I'm basically on board where all weapons are going away. My home defense weapon now is a flamethrower. My concealed carry weapon is a flamethrower.
And I think he's doing a really obscure inside joke. I think there's an old episode of The Simpsons, right, where Homer goes to work for a guy named Hank Scorpio, who turns out to be like a James Bond type supervillain, and that guy uses a flamethrower. And lately, Musk has been photographed petting a white cat, like he's Spectre, and doing the Dr. Evil pinky. So I think he's just trolling people that he's a James Bond supervillain and he's selling flamethrowers.
Oh my fucking literal god. That's so fucking awesome.
I think that's amazing. In other nerd news, we had the Jessica Jones season 2 trailer drop today, which was so funny.
Jessica Jones is actually my favorite Marvel Netflix original series.
Wow.
I wish I could say that, but my blackness won't allow me to diss Luke Cage.
Luke Cage is my second favorite.
Actually, Luke Cage is not my favorite. It's the Punisher, hands down.
Hands
down.
Hey, I'm more progressive than you are. I'm lady, black dude, then the white guy.
No, I was the Punisher is my favorite Marvel superhero ever. And then when they added Karen Page, you guys know Deborah and Wall.
She's so hot.
She is my dream.
And just like that, I undo all my progressiveness.
Yeah. She plays Dungeons and Dragons. She GMs. And I'm just oh, you're amazing. So as soon as they said Karen Page was going to be part of the Punisher thing, I was like, best show ever. Like, I didn't even need to watch it. I was just like, John Bernthal, Karen Page, I'm in. But we had Jessica Jones drop. We had the Deadpool introduction to Cable trailer drop. And if you haven't seen that, you need to go see that. Like, watch that immediately. So that was really, really cool. We had announcements that we haven't seen anything yet, but we had, I don't know which one's bigger. Amazon announcing that they're going to do a Conan the Barbarian like TV show, you know, a streaming show on Amazon Prime, which means it could be really gory and violent. And I feel like if they go the John Milius route, it could be really tight. So I'm excited for that. And then the big news was that the Game of Thrones creators, Kathleen Kennedy, just unleashed them on Star Wars. And I'm just like, you have my attention, sir. I still don't think they can undo the damage that JJ did, but who knows, man? Yeah, we could get some crazy stuff. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be Game of Thrones level because it still has to be like, you know, PG-13 at its hardest. You know, I feel like we would not get a rated R Star Wars movie ever. But still, those guys can tell stories. They know their way around a story. So I feel like that's a step in the right direction. Could be really cool. And I'm secretly praying, and I have no intel on this. I'm just praying that they do the Old Republic, because that would just be amazing.
Oh, is the trilogy that they said is coming after all this?
Yeah, that their trilogy is not set in like contemporary. It's like set, you know, in the Old Republic, like 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace, and it would just, that would be really truly incredible. So that would be really, really cool.
I probably have to go on record saying that I enjoyed Episode 7. I also enjoyed Rogue One. I could watch those movies again. I do not think I could watch The Last Jedi again.
I have not seen The Last Jedi because after The Force Awakens, I checked out of the trilogy. I was like, well, I will go see Rogue One. I probably will go see. Oh yeah, we had the Han Solo trailer.
Yep, Solo trailer. Yeah.
So that Solo trailer, in my opinion, looked trash. I am not excited for it. But Robbie B, I 100% agree with you. I have seen, matter of fact, sitting here watching with Bea, our 7-year-old, I've seen Force Awakens 100 times now. I don't mind it. I still enjoy it. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. Rogue One, I've only seen it once. I can't wait till I can put it on repeat and watch it a bunch of times. I am perfectly okay with that. But The Last Jedi, I can't do it. I am a fanboy. Give me Jar Jar Binks all day. I don't care. Give me these.
As a matter of fact, you should see fucking Juice's Jar Jar Binks tattoo on his back. Amazing.
I work out only one back muscle. That is just so I can have Jar Jar Binks's shoulder shrug.
Nice.
It just happened halfway down my back. So, but yeah, The Last Jedi was unbearable.
Man.
It was that bad.
Nerd stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
Rob, what do you got for other nerd stuff? I was about to be like, okay, we're done with the nerd shit. Just talk about 40K.
Let's talk about. Well, there was one more nerd thing, and it ties into the 40K thing. There was a skit by James Corden on Late Night where he did a parody of 50 Shades of Grey, and they use trains, but you can substitute pretty much anything. And I would just say, watch that scene and just imagine it being Warhammer. And it is absolutely hilarious. So go seek that out too. We're giving you homework assignments this time.
Now I know why I got to go watch that video you put in our chat.
Yeah. It's really funny.
So speaking of Star Wars, for some of you fans out there that are looking forward to the tabletop game that's right around the corner, FFG put out a date of March 22nd, which is Adepticon weekend, and they're also running events at Adepticon, believe it or not, already. They're on there. The latest article that dropped yesterday talking about the Rebel expansion out of there, it had a date of March 8th on it. It said, "Hey, coming around the corner, March 8th." And I immediately emailed them because we talk a lot, and I was like, "Hey, just so you guys know, this says the 8th. What day is it?" And they're like, "Oh, our bad. That was for something else." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thank you. Just giving you guys a heads up."
Rob Bear saving the world.
But so it turns out that the 8th date was correct. The 8th will be the day that select stores, as their article put it about 5 hours ago, will be getting demos. So you will be able to see Star Wars Legion as early as March 8th if your store is one of the air quotes selected stores to get a preview copy of the starter set. So that'll be neat. So there'll be a little bit of a buzz, figure out if it's the game for you, a couple weeks ahead of time. So that is all on the way. And it looks like there's 8 expansions as well, ready to pop off at the same time as the starter. And it's like, it's almost one of those things that if you have an FFG or a Star Wars chip, like Haspil may or may not, this particular instance, you kind of got to wonder, do you go all in on this game? Because you know what happened with X-Wing, and it's still happening with X-Wing. Like there's stuff is sold, sells out, and then you just can't get it for like 6 months, right? Do you go and you just buy everything just to have it? And then, I mean, at worst, you could resell it on eBay if it runs out, right? And supplies get tight and prices go up. And I don't know.
For me, yeah, I don't know. For me, I do have an FFG chip because, in my opinion, Fantasy Flight has yet to make a bad game. I have not played a single Fantasy Flight game that I did not like. But and the 12-year-old me is going to kill myself for this. But honestly, my Star Wars chip burnt out on The Force Awakens. Like when that came out, I was done.
Wow.
So I want you to expand on that a little bit more. Earlier we discussed time travel and cell phones. I want you to explain to me how the 12-year-old version of yourself is going to kill yourself. Walk me through that. How that would play out.
Well, it's going to be not a paradox because we're going to go with the kind of butterfly effect quantum universe.
Oh my gosh.
So he's going to be killing like a potential me, a possible future of me. So, and in my dying words, I'm going to tell him all the things I messed up in my life so that he can become like Uber me. Like, so I'm going to be like, don't do this as I die.
That's perfect. Just throw him a bone real quick and be like, you're gonna meet this guy Kenny, and please still be friends with him. Because you need a red graveyard shift, and it's not for selfish reasons, I promise.
Truth. And right before Bright comes out.
Yeah, right before Bright comes out.
Gosh, so hilarious.
And the Tom Cruise the Mummy.
That's right.
Oh my!
That's not a threat, by the way.
Can we touch on that for a second? I am a Mummy fan. Give me all of the first 3. I even like it when they brought Jet Li in to be like the Bad Emperor. Like, I am a big fanboy of all those movies. The Scorpion King, like I can get behind them all. So finally last night I was like, oh cool. I'd told DVR'd when the movie came out. So because it didn't look good enough for me to go see a movie theater, so watched it last night.
DVR, that's cute.
Yeah, tell me about it. So this is what poor people have to do. So terrible. Might be worse than Rogue One. I don't know how they could go so far off. Like literally, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is what Russell Crowe's character is. And I was like, are you kidding me? I am Gladiator, my number 1 favorite movie in the history of all times, in the history of ever. Best movie. And you've got him playing a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type. Oh, it's terrible. I wish I had an extra set of hands because I could give this movie 4 thumbs down.
I used to say that about JJ Trek because I used to say I wish I had 4 hands so I could give it 4 middle fingers.
Man, I was so salty about I saw Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe in a movie. I was like, I can get behind it. Nope. No. So sorry, that was my Mummy rant.
You heard it here first. Don't go see that piece of shit.
Yeah, don't go see the Mummy.
Don't waste your time.
Rob,
The end.
So I know we keep going off. I mean, it was my fault this time because I asked all about this time paradox situation and it led us to the mummy. That's on me. I will take full responsibility for that. Is there other 40K related? Because we haven't actually talked about 40K yet.
Sorta. So this week's pre-releases that we'll see up for advanced order on Saturday include a host of Shadespire items. You got the Skaven coming out, $30 box set, Spike Claws, Swarm, the Chosen Axes. Those
Pinky of the brain, you heard it first.
then
Stole that from Jesse. Player J.
He's tiny. He won't fight you. The Chosen Axes, the little
naked dwarves.
Naked baby dwarves. $30 box set, 2 dice packs for them, $10 each. And the sleeves for them as well, $8 each. Also coming out this week, and this was something that I kind of alluded to a few weeks ago about how Games Workshop can switch up the release schedule because now they have Shadespire, Necromunda, and Blood Bowl, and they put out releases for that generally every quarter, it seems like. This week we got Necromunda. We got the Gang War 2 rulebook for $30, the Orlok Gang for $40, plastic kit, just like the Ashers and the Goliaths. A dice set for them for $12.50. And the very first board expansions, Underhive, Bad Zone, Delta 7 for $40, and some tactics cards for them for $15 for the Orlocks. So
I have a question for you about that stuff, Rob, because I'm not as plugged in with Necromunda, and even though I want to be, Shadespire has just kind of like swallowed me whole. Now, was Necromunda one of the specialist games that Forge Roll was going to like take over, or is that not true? So, but they are putting out like plastic kits and all this stuff.
That's a good question. I think yes, because I think Blood Bowl falls under them too. But for some reason, I think they're responsible for the development, but GW does the distro.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know. I thought it might be pretty cool.
That's kind of the weird one. But yeah, so that's coming out. And then, of course, we saw all that great, cool Forge World stuff that's coming out. Lady Gaga, the leader of the Custodes. I mean, Valdor, sorry. It's hard to... They look so familiar. I don't know which one's which.
Wow. Good job trying to make a joke and fucking that up.
It's 11 o'clock at night. Been doing this for at least 15 hours already today. So
by this, do you mean delivering punchlines out of order?
Yes, everybody gets one. So coming out going on pre-order this Saturday will be the Necromunda Hired Guns pack from Forge Roll for £20. I don't know how much that is in American money. I assume $25 to $29. Next Friday will be Rogaldorn for $75, 75 pounds. So I guess it's like 105 question mark. Then the week after will be the new Space Wolves. That's the 23rd. The new Space Wolf Wolfguard Terminators, the Varangear, I think they're called, $60 box set. Then Valdor on the 2nd of March.
Wait a second. So they're dropping new Space Wolves before new Space Wolf rules come out?
Well, these are the ones from 30K. They're the elite, the super dudes that go with the Praetor.
I love that name.
They're pretty ornate looking. And then after that is the Cataphractic Spears, the Custodes Spears. There's actually multiple different types of spears you can take in 30K for them when they're finally making them. So that's really neat to see. $15 or 15-pound upgrade packs for them. And I think there was some Gray Slayers upgrade packs coming out for Space Wolves too, with that really cool segmented shoulder pad that Lehman Russ has. When did those come out? That is, I guess it's 23rd of February. So the same weekend as the Terminators. There'll be a double up. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming out from GW. And of course, we've got Legion on the way on the 22nd for FFG. I think that's the majority of the.
I was about to come in and be like, I swear we're still a 40K podcast.
Question mark? Tabletop.
some of those words you said had a 40K context associated with them.
Space Wolves, Custodes.
Yeah, but you were on reference to 30K versions of them.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
If you want 40K this week, we ain't got it. Let's talk about bikes or something.
Oh, we got it.
We got it.
It's coming. We're bringing the thunder.
So did we have more nerd stuff?
We had some brief Shadespire stuff as I drop things.
Yeah.
He's not.
The only thing you drop is knowledge.
All right. Yeah, so they did 2 faction focused things on the Skaven and the dwarves coming out for Shadespire, and it looks really good. It looks to shake up the meta. The big important things that we've got is that the Skaven upgrade, they inspire when anybody uses a ploy on them. So I feel like that's going to be pretty important. The other thing is that they can come back. Guy can bring in their leader can bring in another Skaven, but they can come in on any starting hex, not just on their side. So if you've got objective cards like Denial or Contained, GG. Like enjoy the last couple of weeks using those.
Hey, if I play Shadespire, I'm playing these motherfuckers.
And then the dwarves are equally pretty cool. Some different mechanics, and I feel like GW planned this out really, really well, because the dwarves and the Skaven are not, I would guess, without having played them, I would guess they're not as straightforward to play as some of the other warbands. So it's like they've put out these other warbands. Let us get used to the game. Let us get used to the mechanics. Now here's a little bit more, I wouldn't even say complicated. I would just say guys that do things out of order or that inspire differently. Yeah.
Would you say procedurally different? Like
procedurally different is what I would say. And we've already seen some of that with the Guard. But with the Skaven, they take it to a different level. And then of course they have the dwarves look really, really solid, but they're slow. So when they inspire by holding an objective. So you're going to want to have objective cards in there without being completely offensive, because you're going to have to stand on the objectives anyway. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how Chaos interacts with these new guys, especially, and orcs, honestly, because orcs going toe to toe with dwarves, I don't think is going to work out.
No, what I like about what you're telling me, what I'm hearing is that the factions that we've been getting used to in Shadespire are the starter box. It's the starter sets. It's the get everyone used to the procedures of the game so you can master the proper rule structure of the game, right? And it's like anything. You have to master something before you have to master a rule before you can break a rule, master a technique before you can break the rules of that technique. And it seems like to get everyone used to that, understanding the procedures, the order of operations, how this game works. These new units are going to come out, these new factions. They're going to have more nuance, different order of things, potentially more advanced play, but only in the context of we've only been exposed to one way to play. It is clearly a tactical release structure by the creators of this game.
Yeah, and it's like, because we've seen certain lists come out in the meta. We've seen like Denial super defensive Stormcast for an example. That's not going to work anymore because the Skaven can literally spawn right in front of you. Or the dwarves can just sit there in the back, and Chaos was doing this anyway and farming objectives, and so was the Guard. But that's what I adore about it. And then we're going to get all these universal cards that change the meta. So in 2 weeks, the entire Warhammer Underworld Shadespire game is going to change. and I cannot wait. Also in 2 weeks, what we're getting is organized play. The organized play packet that came out, they have card boxes. They have all kinds of swag. You can get like a trophy, tokens, alternative tokens, all this other stuff, alternative art cards. All that stuff is coming out. It was supposed to come out in January, but it was delayed a month. So it will be coming out 2 Saturdays from now. So that's exciting as well.
Man, that is some sick shit, man. It just makes me think about 40K and get excited, because if this is if this is how they're taking this specialty game and it's becoming this successful, it's only a matter of time before they start applying some of these tactics to their other IPs. Like they did it with AOS, right? They came out with AOS, fucked up, learned what they fucked up, fixed it, and then when they dropped the new 8th edition style 40K, they implemented all the fuck ups and they removed all the fuck ups and only implemented the things that they modified. And now we got Shadespire dropping this new heat, this new structure with these new game changes, stratagems for all intents and purposes. I feel like that scales directly to 40K.
Yeah, it really could. It really could.
And we've been talking about this for weeks now, kind of like in the background. Like, we talked about Denizens of the Warp when that dropped in the Chaos Demons Codex, the crazy Deep Strike world. We were like, there's no way this is worded this way when it was a rumor. Then when it wasn't a rumor, we're like, wow, it is worded that way. Then we all knew it was going to get FAQ. But then that led us down this rabbit hole. Why FAQ things like that? Why not just say, fuck it, we messed up. Let's come out with some new universal stratagems, because right now we have just some basic stratagems: reroll a dice, interrupt an assault, pass a morale check. I feel like there's more potential universal stratagems, and I cannot wait. I know in my heart of hearts, seeing how Shadespire is doing it, that 40K is going to do that too, and we're going to be getting exciting things in season 2.
Yeah, and they would actually, it would be a lot less work, because if you look, they rinse and repeat some very
basically every codex
line.
has some every codex basically has a +1 to the wound roll type of stratagem, a sort of ambush stratagem,
a double shoot stratagem, a double assault stratagem, a deep strike stratagem. Like, so with that being said, like, I'm actually down, Kenny, on more online with what you're saying of, hey, these are all universal to everybody. This will also help streamline some of the indexes, and this helps indexes. We're not even talking about just going back and fixing stuff for codexes. We're saying that until the end of the year, until this can be a almost permanent stopgap for people who don't have books yet. You're telling me right now that Dark Eldar, Drakari or Orcs can just for free swing twice, like all the other dexes can for 3 command points?
I mean, I like that. And I think that what's going to happen is we're going to get all the codexes. Everything's going to make sense. We're going to get chapter approved 2018. Then we're going to move into the next season. And I think that's going to be the true 8th edition experience. That's when these things are going to start happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that'll give them an opportunity to have other things to put into those expansion sets. Like we were talking about, like, hey, what are they going to do after all the codexes drop? And they can do the thing like we're seeing right now with Malign Portents, where you have 4 individual book characters you can buy for each of the major factions, or the orders, or the Grand Alliances rather. And then you come out with this book, boom, the whatever, Battle for Armageddon. I'm just using that as an example, don't know if it's true or not. And that book would have those things in it. And also the data card pack that also Malign Portents has, with all those new stratagem cards and things in there, and objectives and all sorts of things. And if they do it right, and I'm sure that they're already crunching the numbers on this and trying to figure it out, if they can do it, not only will we have to buy that campaign back every year, but we'd also have to buy the new chapter approved book that comes out in December, so they can sell us something that everybody has to buy in the summer.
Rob, I want to throw something at you. We normally don't interact with chat while we're doing this, but anyone listening to this podcast know that we do it live every Wednesday night, and we do have a chat available to us. There is a question in there that I want you to answer, because we have talked about it before. Somebody states, I'm relatively new to 40K, just started near the end of 7th edition. How long do editions usually last? And I want you to answer that question in 2 parts. I want you to tell them how long past editions last and how long you think this edition is going to last.
So traditionally, the editions from 3rd to 4th, well, depending on how you want to break down the trend, the 3.5s and things like that. So from about 4 years, we saw with 5th to 6th, from 6th to 7th, that was about 1.5 years. It didn't last long at all. 7th was around for roughly 4, I think it was 3.5 years. I forget exactly. But that being said, this is the new edition of 40K. This is it. It's just 40K. And what they're going to do is, probably, and this is my gut feeling here, is that the same thing with these expansions. They're going to find out how to sell us rules within rules. And not that that's a bad thing. This is a business. This is what we do. This is why Games Workshop stays in business, and why we can continue to get these great models and have a really cool hobby and interact and go to all these great events every year. But Games Workshop will find a way to sell us just like Magic does with their expansions, 1 to 2 things a year that everybody has to buy. And my gut feeling is that starting next year, it'll be chapter approved and it'll be some sort of campaign, Malign Portents, but for 40K in the middle of the year around summertime.
Are you basically saying that's it? This is the last edition. It won't change.
Correct. Most likely not, unless we see some huge breakup at the top in the board.
You're going to stand there telling me that in the 2008 climate that is vastly digital, that GW somehow is going to find a way to just keep this living rule set? I mean, like, I don't know if the technology exists, but like, how are you just saying that they're just going to keep somehow miraculously giving us information and rules that we can somehow readily download and somehow just keep playing without waiting on new pieces of literature that physically come into our possession? Like, how is that even possible?
How is it indeed? Probably the same way we're going to play with 3D printed models that we just download to our maker boxes in the kitchen, in the next 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'll tell you how Tom Cruise and fucking witchcraft, okay?
Witchcraft. No, I mean, I think it's a very good precedent because, nobody wants their stuff to be outdated. And we know there's, as of 1st of January, there's 11 factions to get books this year, and they've already said they're going to do them all. Boom. Yep. So going forward, everybody will be on an equal playing field, and they realized the problems with the first couple of months that we saw last year. The incredible creep and FAQ and everything was tilted sideways, and the stuff you started out playing was not the same things you could play a couple months later. They said, hey, all right, cool, that's a thing. Now we're going to do an FAQ a couple weeks after the Codex comes out, and then also again the twice a year thing after Adepticon and after Nova Open. So they are listening. And they understand these problems, and it's all growing pains, and they'll get through it and they'll figure it out. But there's precedents to be had looking at Magic, looking at some of these other games out there, which is really great to see that they're actually cognizant once again of what's going on around them and not insular like we saw for so many years.
True.
All right.
I do have one more nerd thing,
please,
and it has to do with the White Dwarf, right? So in this month's White Dwarf, they came out with a card that has extra guys in it for a game called Heroes of Blackreach. We haven't seen that yet, but it's some kind of tabletop game that's in there. And then they also had a code for 15% off of Inquisitor Martyr, and that is still in alpha. It is a computer game. It is a Diablo clone, kind of a, what do they call them, action RPGs now?
Yes, ARPGs.
Yeah, ARPG. It is, I jumped in, I had bought into it, a long time ago. I jumped into it again because of this White Dwarf, gave a code for some extra missions and stuff. And man, they have done a great job polishing it up, and it is absolutely amazing. There's so much content, even for an alpha game. Now, granted, it's an alpha, so there's going to be a lot of bugs. There's going to be some balance issues and everything. But if you like Diablo, you like 40K, I feel like this could be for you.
I like both of those things.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Tight. All right, guys, let's take a commercial break. Then we're going to talk about the meat and potatoes. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
elricshobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. elricshobbies.com. All right, we're back. I'm just going to preface this with bikes.
So asking for a friend, if I were going to run like an inordinate amount of Custodes bikes, what do I have to look out for that could maybe ruin my day on the tabletop?
How to kill Custodes bikes.
So So I feel like we have to make sure we set the ground table nice and tight. So needless to say, we have talked for a couple weeks now how high and mighty we are on shield captains, on storm eagles or whatever they're called, death riders, birds of the air,
Lawmasters.
That's it.
Lawmasters, yeah.
Those are going to be the new stallions that mount the world, aka chapter masters with 3 of invulnerables, potentially feel no pains and whatnot. So, but these bikes being toughness 6 wounds with a 2-up save and a 4 of invulnerable.
4 wounds.
Yeah, 4 wounds with a 4-up invulnerable is a massive issue. When you're telling me that most builds that I'm looking at have a squad of 8 of them, that's 720 points. That is a Death Star. Without characters, without anything else, adding the 2 320 point total characters, this is a 1,100 point unit.
Yeah, we talked about this. This is the first true Death Star in 8th edition.
Yeah. And this is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So
there's a couple of reasons, though. Juice mentioned last time 4 wounds is obviously good, but there's a reason why 4 wounds is an aggressive profile in the gamescape today.
Everything is 1 damage, D3 damage, 2 damage. So when you
the best weapons do a flatline 3.
Yeah.
And some weapons are D6, which still means you need to roll a 4.
Yeah. To be honest, D6 weaponry against these guys are all but dead to me.
Yeah.
Because you can't get it in mass quantity.
The math is 2 successful failed saves still only kills 2 guys.
Yeah, and so we're talking 4
I'm sorry, doesn't kill 2 guys because it should be 7 on 2 dice, and that's 8 wounds with the model. So literally it can go sideways on you really quick with 4 wounds.
Yeah, I mean it's this is definitely going to be an issue. So I know for a fact Adepticon is going to be littered with Custodes bike art units, elements that either, if you haven't already thought of close combat or shooting wise, you are going to need to be able to address these. So during this segment, we thought in the pregame show, let's figure out some units, tactics to kill 40K's new Death Star. So I
want you to go first, but let me say this real quick. So you've heard it here. Let's just make it as simple as understand as possible. 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable, 4 wounds, toughness 6. Whole squad of these guys, 8+. We know there are some weaknesses that everyone shares, right? We know that mortal wounds is a weakness. So mortal wounds, we're going to probably talk about that. We know that being able to do multiple damage matters. We're going to talk about that. We know that whatever your AP is has to be at least AP 2 or it's not effective because they already have a 2-up save and they have a 4 invulnerable. So, AP 1 isn't going to cut shit. So you're going to see this. I haven't even heard what Juice is going to say yet, but these are going to be themes for sure. And what he's going to do right now for you is walk you down whatever army or flavor or whatever's in his brain right now, how he's effectively going to deploy that upon these units of bikes and try to take them out before they get to them.
Yeah, and then so you also have to think. Kenny just showcased that profile. That's on a profile that moves 14 inches and can flat out another 6. So they're coming at you. It's not like there's all that and they're moving 6 to 8 inches like it's a dreadnought. Like this unit makes his money, makes pay dirt within 12 to close combat because they're all armed with hurricane bolters. So that 8-man unit is going to be putting some, 96 storm bolter shots at you, hurricane bolter shots, something like that, in rapid fire. Okay. So I'm going to save my absolute gem for last. I feel confident, Kenny, that you're not going to talk on him, so I am going to save him for last, and it is something that is never to be seen of on the 40K table right now. But first, I'm going to start out with one of my favorite units. I think that this unit has had play before, and I believe, and it's something that I said that I was going to do over the Christmas break, is that I was going to try to dive in and find out what Primaris Marines are really all about. And I believe that if you are going to start seeing in your local area Custodes bikes and these units come up, and you are playing either Dark Angels themselves or you are down to play, you're playing Blood Angels and you ally in a little Blue Marines or White Scar Marines or anything else, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a 10-man squad of Hellblasters, all with heavy plasma incinerators. I don't care that it is a heavy weapon that you can that shoots long range. I don't care about that because they're going to get the jump on you. They're going to be in your grill. So what you can do with this is you can deploy them way back. Give yourself a bubble for somebody who's, whether it's Azrael, re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound, whether you have captains or lieutenants, anything else around. And the reason why I specifically say not even just Hellblasters, because it's not enough to say, oh, well, I'll just take, I actually might be able to get behind a Gilliman Hellblaster. The reason why I don't, and I say 100%, it is Dark Angels with Azrael and potentially not, is Relics of the Dark Age. You are going to be able to get your guys 3 base damage with your plasma weapons. So you will be able to, with 2 command points, be able to shoot, depending on what range they're at. If you got a 10-man squad and they come up on you, you're going to be able to shoot reliably anywhere between.
Juice, what does that modify the AP as well? It's already 2 AP3 or something, right?
No, it's already minus AP3.
So, but here's something I want to hit you with, because I was already thinking about this, is that damage 3 and damage 2 is basically the same thing.
Well, no, so I absolutely agree. But you know what I love about damage 3 is that when there is some rollover, now your bolters, now your heavy bolters, you know what I mean? Anybody who can try to pick up a wound is actually going to remove a whole model.
So, yeah, basically you're saying you have to have multiple units of these guys and multiple units of bolter guys with minus 1 AP, which are primaries too. So then you're saying, I'm going to shoot the first volley. There's a guy with 1 wound left. Finish it off. Shoot the next volley. There's a guy 1 wound left. Finish it off.
I am absolutely going to layer my shots. I'm going to go 100% using whatever means necessarily. And to be honest, I might not even I'll use Weapons of the Dark Age and maybe not over supercharge or whatever. So I don't care about the damage 3. I'll let damage 2 stick around for a little bit, knowing that maybe I don't have somebody to give me rerolls. But Weapons of the Dark Age and Hellblasters, I think, are going to be a easy plug and play for some people's armies.
I agree with you on that. We're thinking pretty close. My whole thing is, like, I'm thinking from chaos perspective, right? Because I've been playing a lot of chaos. I'm going to be playing chaos until it's not. I'm going to be playing chaos probably the whole fucking edition, because it's the first time chaos has been playable a long fucking time, right? So a couple things. I have a couple notes here, all in line with what you're saying, essentially. So the problem is that they have a 2-up save, so you got to be neg 2 AP just to make them take that stupid invulnerable, right? You got to be neg 3. If you have a way to remove the invulnerable, which many people do, which some people do, you have to be neg 3 just to get on with that, right? So right out the gate, we can talk about Death Hex from Chaos, right? So Warp Charge 8, which is difficult to cast, strips them of their invulnerable save. Now that's a great on its surface power, but the list of things that are minus 3 AP is pretty small. You talk about las cannons again, missile launchers and shit like that. Now I always use obliterators because they can shoot twice and they're amazing for their points. So obliterators have the ability to be AP3 as well, but they're probably going to be AP2, which is still fine. So I would say you might see Magnus matter again, even though he's gotten nerfed, because Magnus, he has the +2 to cast. He also has the D6 might. So those are 2 great things right now for dealing with bikes, is getting up that Death Hex on a reasonable cast number and getting D6 mortal wounds out in your psychic phase on a number that is going to be almost impossible for anyone to block because of the +2, right? So Magnus might matter just because bikes, even though he just got nerfed a little bit, he might matter. My whole thing is obliterators matter. Every chaos army should have a unit of obliterators marked with Slanesh. They should have a lord near them to reroll them once. Any army I play has the Herald, who has the psychic power that is only a warp charge 5 or 6, but I use the warlord trait to make it +1. So you're basically saying I get a free reroll. So it's now you're talking, you have the ability to take a unit of obliterators and say damage 2 pretty solid, right? Like damage 2 is what I want because it's the same as damage 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the AP is more important now because I need AP 3, right? And so I use the reroll in a place I don't normally use it because I get a free built-in psychic reroll. So I'm fishing for AP 3. If I get it, I get 2 chances to get it. If I get it, that's it because now Death Hex matters. That's brutal, right? Now they're failing saves on 5s. Right. And if you have 2 damage, which is also a command point rerollable, all you got to do is roll fucking 3. You have 2 chances to do that. And now you're doing 2 damage. So now 12 shots from obliterators hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts a bike squad. If you get the +2 to your second power Death Hex off, which you're probably going to get off. And with all your built-in rerolls, you get the -3 AP. Even if you don't get the -3 AP, they're still going to be tested on a 4. You're going to do some work.
If they even get the invulnerable save due to
right. So you need to do 2 neg. Yeah, you need to do -2. You'll probably get it. And obliterators are going to shoot tries for stratagems. You can obliterator squad with these combos can put down 6 of these bikes. But you're gonna spend 2 stratagems to shoot twice, 1 stratagem for 1 reroll, a psychic power to get another reroll, and then maybe a reroll in the psychic phase to make sure your smite goes off. You know what I'm saying? Perfectly. Like so.
Yeah. Also, it's going to be clutch. Yeah, you're going to have the Long War. What is that? The one that gives
Veterans of the Long War.
Veterans of the Long War is going to have to be a clutch one.
I'm going to be playing. You're playing at least 5 stratagems because the good thing about them being tough to 6 against obliterators means for 1 CP you wound them on 2s.
Yeah.
So So I'm talking. It's a 5 CP investment when you combine things like Death Hex, Magnus Smite, and these obliterators and reroll 1s and stuff like that. You might even repressions engage, but the good news is every time I use my obliterators, I basically blow 5 command points anyway. But here's something that I also love that I've been thinking about putting in my army a lot is the kill shot stratagem for a unit of 3 predators. Now I saw my man Kaiser running 3 predators at LVO with his sisters with the kill shot stratagem. And I love that because the kill shot stratagem basically says that pick a predator, then all the predators within 6 inches of them, as long as there's 3, double the damage of their like basically their weapons, right? So you have autocannons. They're 4 damage autocannons. So even though they're tested on 3-up saves, you can put a substantial amount of shots down that hit on 3s or reroll 1s that are gonna wound on 3s that you're saying, here's my clutch little like every time you roll a 1 or 2, you literally lose a guy now.
I don't believe it's double damage. I think it's +1 damage, but I'll tell you what's sick about it for Chaos autocannons, figure this out, playing my boy Daniel. Chaos autocannons, their top turret is an automatic 3 damage. So when you use kill shot, it goes to 4. Their top turret. The good guy
is that what it is?
Not do that. Yeah.
Oh, is it because because it's a different type? That's right.
Yeah. And so it's unbelievable. We're sharing a brain on autocannons. I love the fact that you get +1 rend and +1 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Kill shot's money. Yeah, absolutely.
You're right. It's they have a stock 3 and it's 1.
Yeah. So, did you have anything else, Kenny? I'm sorry.
No, that's where I'm currently at. Your go.
Okay, so I've actually got a couple armies to touch on. Like obviously my Nids, my love. Nids have a hard counter to a lot of things right now, and I was actually surprised that they didn't do any better at LVO, considering Kronos just shuts down psychic abilities. Like you just can't interact with it. The quickening that all these people are using to use their singing spears and stuff like that, all I have to do is 1 mucoloid being in the middle of the table, and within 24 inches, your bikes actually don't move. That extra 42 inches or whatever it is. But so outside of that, these bikes are going to have an issue with Hive Guard because they can hide completely behind line of sight. They do -2 rend, D3 damage. That's really reliable. Now, we've already showcased, and it's a high strength, so I will be wounding on 3s. So we've already showcased how D3 damage is not the greatest thing in the world, but it's got everything lined up. You're only going to block 50% of them. I have 12 of them, so it's 24 shots. 1 unit of 6 is going to shoot twice because of a stratagem, so that's going to be like shooting 18 of them in a single turn. So the mass firepower at -2 D3 damage, strength 8 is definitely hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s is also a pretty good guarantee on I'm going to get quite a few wounds through. Now, it's going to be up in the air on what my conversion rate on my D3s are. But you know what I love is rolling a D3 and sticking a 3 and then feeling okay that my next roll of a D3 is a 1. Because that's a dead bike. It's the dagger when it's like I roll a 1, then I roll a 2, then I roll a 1. And it's like, oh my Jesus, it's taken me 3 of my, wounds to get through before I finally connected on one. Also, another thing that the Nids have, they have biovores. Biovores are amazing because they do mortal wounds in the shooting phase, where Custodes have a built-in 6-up feel no pain against mortal wounds in the psychic phase. The shooting and anything else, they don't. So mortal wounds from biovores, definitely the way to go. Also, one of the heroes of the book, as always, are 2 of them, mucoloids that deploy in your I keep them back in my inside my bubble wrap in my screens, where my fire base and my 60 termagants are all keeping everybody alive. And I've got my Malanthrope right in the center to get my -1 from shooting and everything. Well, I have the big, for anybody who doesn't know, it's out of the Nid book, mucoloids. They blow up at the end of the charge phase, just like a Spore Mine does, but it does D3 on the roll of a 2 through 5. It does D3 mortal wounds. On the roll of a 6, it does D6 mortal wounds. So Nids have built-in defense. They're mini demolition vehicles when units do get close to them. So you're not just going to be able to freely charge a Nid line if they're sporadically thrown in these mucolid spores. And then lastly, the unsung hero is a Hive Tyrant. Because it can cast 2 smites, basically. It has Smite, and then it has Psychic Scream. So that's going to be 2 D3 damage and mortal wounds you're going to take. And it's going to shoot 24 strength 6 shots. Now, all I'm banking on is hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, and my opponent, out of my 11 to 14 wounds that I've done, for my opponent to actually 14 is a little high, 11 seems about right, that they fail 2 to 3 2-up saves. If they do, that's when I enact the I can't even think of the strategy right now. I feel bad. But where my damage goes from damage 1 to damage 2. So I can almost guarantee that my Hive Tyrant coming in is going to pick up 2 to 3 mortal wounds between both smites. And then also from his firepower, he should be able to capitalize with or without or even with the stratagem. I should be able to pick up another 4 to 6 wounds. So that should be 2 dead bikes. Maybe they Stonewall Jackson and get all 2s, and I only get 1 through. I'm still going to burn it. That's going to be 2 wounds, and that guy is going to kill a bike. So Nids have quite a few things that they can do to deal with it. Eldar, it frustrates me so much that Eldar is already good. What's one of the number 1 units, Kenny, that everybody's running at LVO?
Besides the Reapers and the Spears and the Shining Spears, or both?
Dark Reapers. Dark Reapers just are already so prevalent in the meta itself right now. It's got all the answers. It's got indirect fire. It's got high strength. Literally every weapon profile that it wants to shoot is -2 or 3 rend with 2 base of 2 damage, or some are D3 if I'm not mistaken, or is it some 3 damage? It's either way.
It's 3, and I think the the Tempest launcher
is -2, or it's 2 damage.
It's 2 D6 shots though.
Yeah, you're sitting there like, holy shit, and they're all high strength, and you're like, wow, this unit is literally just got all the makings to kind of go against this Custodes unit. So, and then a couple other weapons that anybody can have. I'm big on Grav now. I think Grav is back. You will be able to have Grav Centurions, things like that. I don't like the fact that they're only strength 5. But
they usually have Rabute Gilliman near them, so it's basically
absolutely. And they also, you usually, when you find Grav weapons, you usually find 5 shots. heavy grav destroyers with call next to them. You know, grav centurions have 6 shots each, you know, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So,
I mean, but even the Devastators are just a good deal too. The Devastators pop,
Yeah.
you know, they're chilling right by Rabute. You know, they're rerolling all their misses. They're wounding pretty good. You have a guy that makes one guy shoot again.
Yeah.
One guy hits on 2s. I mean, it's literally a lot of fucking shots. And especially if you can get a null zone near them from second power.
Null zone is absolutely the one. So you pair that together, and now all of a sudden, you are only the strength 5, but you're at -3 rend with D3 damage. Again, this is quality. Right now in today's meta, grav doesn't really have a spot, but against these guys, it does. If y'all don't mind, I'm ready to unveil my unicorn that will demolish the Custodes bike unit.
Please.
And the drum roll begins. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody who has them, everybody has 5 of them sitting in their house. A Night Crusader. A Night Crusader, 1, will end 8 to 10, even potentially more of these knights, or excuse me, of these jet bikes. The reason being, the point cost for one thing. You've got an 8-man unit, 720 points. My Night Crusader is ringing in just under 560. These guys do not want to go toe to toe. They're 120 or mid 90 strength 4 shots aren't going to do dick to a knight. So they're pissed off with that. Their lances are only going to be strength 6. That really he doesn't really care about that anymore, you know, because he's banking on his high toughness. Every weapon that Night Crusader is going to shoot is going to hurt. It's shooting the 12 strength 6 -2 rend 2 damage Avenger Gatling cannon. It also is shooting the 2d6 battle cannon, high strength -3 D3 damage each. And for the love of God, you do not want to get in close combat with it. And then obviously you never run a Crusader without having the missile launcher on top to have more strength 8 -3 D3 damage or multiple wound damage stuff. So all in all,
on a unit that has typically been written off in 40K right now, people don't like knights.
Dude, absolutely doesn't have a place in the game.
Is actually potentially about to have a place in the game.
Yes, it is. It is going to, I mean, again, if you see your meta is going to where they are running guard in this, and it is, you know, yeah, I can't even, I have so many knights right now. I'm thinking so many applications. If what does Obliterators don't necessarily want? Like, I don't know if we just threw a knight into the meta right now with shy of Decimators in your list. Well, I can't say shy because Kenny, you run like 4 Decimators. 4 Decimators just eliminate it, you know. Like, but there's so many things.
Obliterators. I mean, actually, I shoot the Obliterators of the night first because the Obliterators have 24 shots and they're going to have 2 to 3 damage per shot. So I typically lead with the Obliterators on tanks, and I clean up the chaff with because everyone expects me to shoot their Decimators at their like tanks and shit. Mm-hmm. But typically I'm like, oh, you got 5 Primaris Marines in cover. They're just take them off the table. Like for one Decimator shoots there, one, you know. But I will usually put the Decimators back to target before the Obliterators reactivate their shooting to see if they can get a new target.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to be like, my number 1 units, obviously the Decimators. I run 4 Decimators with minimal rerolls. We'll kill. We'll leave 6 wounds in the unit, like with just rerolling ones. They'll leave 6 wounds left in the Custodes biker unit.
Yeah, that's mortal wounds. Yeah.
So that's why we caveat it with mortal wounds. It's like if I can go first and I'm 34 inches away from those bikes, or even if you go and then I'm 34 inches away from those bikes, I will leave with just basic math rolling, re-rolling ones. I will leave 6 wounds left in that unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 1 bike and half a bike.
That and AKA 610 points gone, you know, somewhere in that. But no, I'm serious about a Night Crusader. Like, I believe that there is play that in your local meta, if you are having an issue where everybody's talking about it. They're running Gilliman's, they're doing this and that. I would not think that it is a bad point investment if your opponents are going to be sinking 720 points. It's not a bad idea to soak.
No, I really love that. I think that's a real eye opener because that's a model everyone loves. Everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's sick. I think that's the best advice, honestly. Like that's the best unit because we all have one. Everyone had bought them. Everyone's got one laying around. And everyone's kind of sad they can't use them because they're not that great. But they're going to be a great investment for your army when fucking a bike unit rolls up on your shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite one because that one's not obvious. I like that one.
Yeah. And again, it's something because with my NIDs or this and this, like this is something that almost any army can plug and play in that has access to it.
Yeah, no doubt. I was even thinking like Scorpios launchers with G-Man near them are pretty good. The Scorpion pattern whirlwinds. So I hate those things. God, they're so horrible. I like that.
I do like Bane blades for them as well, but like the bikes are just too fast. I was trying to look at the numbers and math on Fire Raptors, which I still need to, but man, this bike unit, another reason why it's so fucking good is they fucking have fly. They will rip apart flyers in the game.
And they can end up fly right over ruins. I mean, it is the fact that they have a jet bike is what is so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. No, I am so high on. I know we just showcased a handful of units that will put in work and kill them, but let me tell you, not everybody has it. And if you put down 180 orc boys against this, it's dead. Like, might as well maybe not even.
Oh yeah, I mean it doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's
if your army consists of a bunch of, there's a lot of firepower in Space Marine bodies. Whether
if you use weight of numbers, if you use weight of numbers and weight of shots that are all a 0 AP 1 damage.
Yes, you've got to rethink your game. I mean, there is some absolute strength in these guys. And furthermore, hard hitting. I don't believe that this army, with the way that we've talked about it, paired with either a brigade or a couple battalions of guard to boost up their command points, with okay enough bubble wrap. I don't even need a quality bubble wrap. I'm just talking about an okay one. We're talking 60 guys or so, 50 guys. Demon bombs will not get in on them. You're not assaulting this unit if they don't really want to be. So that means they always get counter assault. And for 3 command points, they can just always interrupt the charge. This unit is going to run a menace and run through Adepticon.
God, this stooping dive.
Stupid dive.
3 CPs. Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah.
Well, if it becomes if it's so out of control, that'll be the precedent for them to probably, the whole after Adepticon FAQ. We'll see where they actually change. Well, they might actually change Eldar some too, I imagine, but we'll see.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there's Eldar stuff to be changed. I don't know. I mean, the one thing that I would see is that, we need to look at the abusiveness of using stratagems and stuff with certain things. And then the big thing, I mean, quickening is unbelievable, just unbelievable. Nick Natavati showcased multiple times how even just being able to soul burst is netting him like free 18 command points every game.
He says he ends every game. He says every game is like having 25 command points.
Yeah.
25 is good. Those are good numbers.
Yeah. But I will say this bike unit, I believe, with all said and done, and we're pretty critical of GW. We'll call it how it is, good, the bad, the ugly. I think GW has appropriately pointed these models. They have given them the coolest of weapons, the highest of toughness, the perfect amount of wounds. I think this is probably one of the first units that I've seen GW knock out of the park since 8th edition has dropped. And they're fucking 90 points a model.
Which seems a little ridiculous at first, but once you start crunching the numbers on it.
Nah, yeah. I can get behind it.
In a murder of Custodes jet bikes. That's what we'll call them, a murder. Not onesie twosies, but a murder of Custodes jet bikes. They are legitimate, I feel like.
Yeah, unsung hero in that army is going to be the two shield captains running around.
Yeah, those are going to run around all nimbly bimbly. And you're not even talking about the rest of your allies. If you have, a brigade of guard behind them or around them or, flanking up with sentinels, dropping mortars, whatever, snipers, ratlings, anti-psychers. Like, there's so much potential here to really have, a combined arms type force that's, you're going to punch them in the face, but you're also going to have some firepower in the back and some stuff to grab objectives.
I know that we are hyped, and we talked a lot during the webcast about the one of our exact lists. But the more I keep thinking about it, and I've got the shield captains, and I've got this, and I just believe that the Saint is begging to be paired with these guys.
It's funny. The Saint is still a problem. He's so ridiculous. But a lot of the people at LVO were talking about just supreme command spam and just taking nothing but shield captains.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do that too.
The first time I was talking to Austin about this list and everything, he's like, yeah, those bikes seem good, but all I want is 10 of those shield captains. I will say this. I believe that for their point cost, if they don't have a 3-up invulnerable or the potential that 5-up feel no pain and then it's sharing down, at that point, they're just a very expensive. Everything else is the same. Like, they don't get a better bliss skill. They don't get a better to hit in close combat.
Because they're already 4 wounds, 2-up, 2-up. I mean, they're already there.
Yeah,
like that level.
Yeah, and then furthermore, they have 7 wounds, but damn, for 170 points, for 10 points more, I can get an extra wound because they're 90-90, and I get 12 more shots versus, because I get a whole nother hurricane bolter versus 160. So yeah, I mean, it's got merit, but I really love the 2 because there's 2 artifacts that I can make these guys have 3-up invulnerables. And that is one thing that they aren't putting around in spades these days is dudes with 3-up invulnerables that are toughness 6, that move 14 inches, that shoot a hurricane bolter.
I mean, it's so good. Like, a Chaos Lord is like 90 points, 4 wounds, 2-up, 2-up. He has a bolt pistol and a chain sword.
Tell me how, Kenny, how these fools have 7 wounds.
No, I'm just talking about like a regular bike is 90 points. A regular bike guy has a strength 6, AP 3, D3 damage, close combat attacks that hit on 2s. He has hurricane bolter shots that hit on 2s, a shitload of them. One guy. Yeah.
One dude.
Hits on 2s, shoots on 2s, moves 14 inches, is toughness 6. He is literally 3 points cheaper than a Chaos Lord.
Wow.
Chaos Lord has a 3-up, 4-up, doesn't have none of that shit. That's what I'm saying. These guys are better than most stock HQ.
Mm-hmm.
Just a regular biker.
Yeah, and they have all the cool rules. They have built in, they have the best stratagems. Are you kidding me? Stupid dive. -1 to hit from your guy sitting around from the Aquila. Also a 6-up feel no pain from psychics. Psychic
mortal
wounds. God, I forgot how to speak. But yeah, so I mean, this unit is definitely, I'm high on them, as everybody else should be.
It's a solid unit. It's just awesome. It's like just awesome to see a true, like, just this is the Astartes unit. These guys are fucking unkillable. Like, I love it. This is fucking sick. But they're not unkillable. They're not actually unkillable. We just defined multiple ways to kill them. Nothing even groundbreaking. These are just elements and armies that we already play, with the exception of the Knight, which I think is the coolest piece of advice we got. Haspil, I know you were asking for a friend, but
yeah, I feel like Knights aren't allowed in Shadespire, so I'm safe. No, I think my bikers will be all the stuff you mentioned was great, except that you forgot that my bikers, like, through the sheer force of will, won't die. So I think I'm all right.
Damn, I fucked that up. I forgot about that.
Yep. I believe in the Emperor.
It's true. I also believe in the Emperor.
but I also feel like when Juice earlier said, if my opponent fails like two up saves, I'm like, I feel like I can fail more than that. I feel like in my experience, I fail a lot more than that. So
true story. So Haspil on the show earlier was also asking a question for a friend. He was like, Juice, so I know that you really want to take these 2 relics that are the invulnerable saves, on each one, but like, man, I'm really liking this the Obliterax. Is that which one it was?
Yeah, it's the Obliteratum that a Terminator, an Alaris Terminator shield captain can take it. And if I'm not mistaken, it is strength 10, AP neg 4. So it is one of the
gut shot.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of like low AP, high strength anti-tank in the Custodes list.
Yeah.
So you basically have the Dreadnought, can take a Melta, which the thing is overcosted, so no one's going to play with Dreadnoughts. The Land Raider, which I feel like that's solid. That's a really good anti-vehicle solution. But if you're taking a 400 something point Land Raider, you're not taking the stuff that really works in the army.
Like bikes.
So I feel like folks aren't going to be taking that. So I was just looking for,
the gym, the unicorn.
Yeah, well, we talked about taking like maybe a couple of the Melta missiles or whatever, but you're sacrificing a ton of Hurricane Bolter shots. So for one shot Melta missile that is a heavy, so you're hitting on 3s, which isn't bad. It's not bad at all, but potential to miss. And everybody who plays with a Melta knows 1 means none. If you have 1 Melta, you're gonna miss.
Don't even waste the time rolling the dice.
Don't even waste the time. So I was just looking for another solution, and that Obliteratum kind of jumped off the page at me. Hey, look at this thing. It's a relic. And should I take that or the Eagle's Eye? That was the question, because the other one, you're absolutely going to take it.
Yeah, the re-rolling the charge, right?
And it's a 3-up, and he can re-roll
3-up plus the reroll charge. Yeah. And so, like, I was like, Haspil, basically how this is going to go. You're already playing a low model count army anyway. After your bikes clash, eventually they are going to die. They're not going to live through every game, And so now you've stuck with, you're like, shit, I've lost basically all my whole army. I've only got 2 of my Voltron Terminators left. I can't remember what's the name of those guys?
Alaris Terminators, yeah.
Alaris, yeah. You've got 2 of them left, and I've got my 2 HQs left. At that point in time, you're going to be feeling so much better because they are running around with 3-up invulnerables, toughness 6. One of them has a 5-up feel no pain, and once that guy dies, then you just roll over to the other one, and now he has all those same stats for 1 command point. And sometimes, and these guys on the positive end have 7 fucking wounds each. I'm talking about Dante doesn't have 7 wounds. Mephi doesn't have 7 wounds. Like that is, I don't actually know, is Gilliman, I think he's the only one that has 7 or more. Like Draco.
I think he has 9 because he's 8 or 9, right under the number you need to not be a
the cusp. So like Drago only has 6. I mean, this is groundbreaking that they have 7. So
they're counting the bike. The bike gives you a wound. So
gotcha.
Anyone who's on a bike basically has this extra wound.
Yeah. Well, I where's the option to put Drago on a bike? That's what I want.
A fucking jet bike? Hell yes.
Yep.
Eat recycled food. It's good for the environment and okay for you.